Okay, so let me ask you something. And I want you to really think about this for a second. You have been working, probably for years, maybe for decades, putting money away every single month into your retirement account, doing the responsible thing, doing what everybody told you to do. Your HR department set it up. Your employer matched a portion of it. You never touched it. You let it grow. And in your mind, that money is yours, every dollar of it. You earned it. You saved it. You sacrificed for it. Maybe you skipped vacations for it. Maybe you drove an older car for it. Maybe you said no to things you genuinely wanted because you were committed to building a future that felt secure. And here is what nobody, and I mean nobody, told you when you signed that paperwork on your first day of work. The IRS has been a silent partner in your retirement account this entire time. They did not contribute a single dollar. They did not show up for a single long shift. They did not skip a single vacation. But the moment you retire and start withdrawing that money, they are going to be the first ones at the table. And depending on how much you have saved, their cut could be enormous. Today, I want to show you the account that changes everything, the one the wealthy have been using for decades, and the one that most working Americans still do not fully understand. Here is something that genuinely bothers me, and I think it should bother you too. We live in a country where the tax code runs to thousands and thousands of pages. It is complicated by design. And buried inside all of that complexity are tools, completely legal tools, that are available to every single American regardless of income, regardless of background, regardless of where you grew up or what school you went to. But because these tools are buried, because nobody explains them in plain language, they end up being used almost exclusively by people who can afford accountants and financial planners who know where to look. The average working American goes through their entire career never hearing about some of these strategies. They find out about them, if they ever find out at all, when it is already too late to take full advantage. That is not fair, and that is exactly why I do these videos. Because the information exists, the tools exist, the accounts exist, they are sitting there in the tax code right now, available to you, waiting to be used. And today we're talking about the single most powerful tax-free wealth building tool available to ordinary Americans. It is called the Roth IRA. And by the time this video is over, you're going to wonder why nobody ever explained this to you sooner. So let me walk you through what is actually happening with a traditional retirement account. Because I think most people have a vague sense that taxes are involved, but they have never really sat down and run the numbers. When you put money into a traditional 401k or traditional IRA, you get what feels like a great deal up front. The money goes in before taxes. Your taxable income goes down. You pay less to the IRS this year. Feels good, feels smart, and in the short term it is. But here's the part that does not get explained nearly enough. Every single dollar in that account, your original contributions and every dollar of growth on top of them, is going to be taxed as ordinary income when you pull it out in retirement. Not at the lower capital gains rate, not at some special retirement rate. Ordinary income, the same rate as your salary, and there is more. At age 73, the IRS does not even give you a choice about whether to start withdrawing. They force you to take out a minimum amount every year, whether you need it or not. It is called a required minimum distribution. And those forced withdrawals get added to your income, which can push you into higher tax brackets, increase your Medicare premiums, make more of your Social Security taxable, and create a cascade of financial consequences that people genuinely did not see coming when they were cheerfully contributing to their 401k 30 years earlier. Now here is the Roth IRA. I want you to pay close attention here because this is the part that changes things. The Roth IRA works in the exact opposite direction of a traditional account. Instead of getting a tax break today, you contribute money that has already been taxed, after-tax dollars, your take-home pay. That part admittedly does not feel as exciting as a traditional contribution because you do not get that immediate deduction. But here's what happens next, and this is where it gets extraordinary. That money goes into your Roth IRA, and from that moment forward, the IRS is done with it, completely done. The dividends it earns, tax-free. The capital gains, tax-free. The compounding growth that happens over 20 or 30 years, every single dollar of it, completely tax-free. And when you retire and start taking money out, tax-free, no income tax, no capital gains tax, no Medicare surcharge triggered by the withdrawal, nothing. You pay taxes once on the seed you planted, and you never pay taxes again on anything that grows from it. That is not a loophole. That is not some complicated scheme. That is exactly how the Roth IRA was designed to work. And it is sitting there right now, available to you, waiting. Let me give you the numbers because I think when you actually see them laid out clearly, it becomes impossible to ignore. Let us say you are 30 years old today. You open a Roth IRA and you contribute $7,000 a year. That is the 2026 maximum. You invest it in a simple S&P 500 index fund. You do not do anything fancy. You do not pick individual stocks. You do not try to time the market. You just let it sit and compound at the historical average return of 10% annually. By the time you are 65, that account will have grown to approximately $1.9 million. And here is the part that should genuinely stop you in your tracks. Every single dollar of that $1.9 million is yours. No federal income tax on the way out, none. Now take that exact same scenario, same contributions, same returns, same timeline, but put it in a traditional IRA instead. You end up with the same $1.9 million on paper. But when you start withdrawing, you owe ordinary income tax on every dollar. At even a modest effective rate of 22%, you lose over $400,000 to taxes. $400,000. Gone to the IRS from an account that you funded, that you managed, that you never touched for 35 years. The only difference between the person who keeps all $1.9 million and the person who loses $400,000 of it is which account they used. Now, I know what some of you are thinking right now because this is the objection I hear most often, and it sounds logical on the surface. You are thinking, I am in a high tax bracket today, so it makes more sense to take the deduction now with a traditional IRA and pay taxes later when I am retired and in a lower bracket. And look, I understand that thinking. It sounds reasonable, but it contains two assumptions that I think are worth examining very carefully before you bet your entire retirement on them. The first assumption is that tax rates in the future will be the same as or lower than they are today. But think about where we are as a country right now. The national debt is measured in tens of trillions of dollars. Government spending continues to grow. And at some point, that debt has to be addressed. Most economists will tell you that tax rates are more likely to go up over the coming decades than down. If that happens, paying taxes today at current rates and enjoying completely tax-free withdrawals in retirement is an even better deal than it already appears to be. The second assumption is that your income in retirement will be lower, but if you are a successful investor, and that is the whole point of doing this, your retirement income from Social Security, investment withdrawals, rental income, pension, and other sources could easily keep you in a similar or higher bracket. The Roth IRA protects you regardless of which direction things go. There's also something called the backdoor Roth IRA, and I want to make sure we cover this because a lot of people assume the Roth IRA is simply not available to them once their income crosses a certain level, and that assumption is costing them. In 2026, direct Roth IRA contributions begin to phase out for single filers earning above $161,000, and they disappear entirely above $176,000. So if you are a high earner, you might have tried to open a Roth IRA, hit that income wall, and just walked away thinking it was not an option for you. But here is what the wealthy figured out a long time ago. There is a completely legal workaround that has been available for years, and that the IRS has explicitly declined to prohibit. You make a contribution to a non-deductible traditional IRA, which has no income limit whatsoever. Then you immediately convert that traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. Because you made a non-deductible contribution, meaning you got no tax deduction on the way in, the conversion triggers little to no additional tax. The money is now inside a Roth IRA, growing completely tax-free, with every single benefit of a regular Roth contribution. This is called the backdoor Roth IRA conversion, and it is available to virtually every American regardless of how much they earn. Here's another thing I want you to think about that most people genuinely do not consider until they are already retired and dealing with the consequences. Medicare. Most people assume Medicare is a fixed monthly premium. You turn 65, you enroll, you pay the standard amount. But that is not actually how it works. Medicare uses a system called Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amounts, IRMA, which means your premiums for Medicare Part B and Part D are directly tied to your reported income from 2 years prior. And if your income crosses certain thresholds, your premiums can jump dramatically. We are talking about premiums that can more than double based purely on your income level. And here is the trap. Every dollar you're forced to withdraw from a traditional IRA counts as income for this calculation. So retirees who save diligently for 30 years in traditional accounts find themselves being hit with massive required minimum distributions that push their income above the IRMA thresholds, triggering Medicare surcharges they never planned for on top of the income tax they are already paying. Roth IRA withdrawals do not count as income for the IRMA calculation. Not a single dollar, which means Roth IRA holders can strategically manage their retirement income to stay below those dangerous thresholds and save themselves thousands of dollars every year in Medicare premiums alone. And then there's the legacy question. Because the Roth IRA is not just about you. It is about what you leave behind. When you pass a traditional IRA to your children or other beneficiaries, you are not just passing them the account balance. You're passing them the full tax liability that has been building inside that account for decades. Under current rules, Most non-spouse beneficiaries are required to withdraw all of the inherited funds within 10 years, and every single withdrawal is taxed as ordinary income at their tax rate, which could be significant if they are in their peak earning years when they inherit. A large inherited traditional IRA can create an enormous and completely unexpected tax burden for the people you love most. A Roth IRA that you leave to your beneficiaries passes to them income tax free. They still face the 10-year distribution requirement, but every dollar they take out comes to them without any federal income tax. If you have spent 20 or 30 years building a Roth IRA worth $1 million or more, the difference in what your children actually receive after taxes, compared to a traditional IRA, could easily be measured in hundreds of thousands of dollars. The Roth IRA does not just build your wealth, it protects it, preserves it, and transfers it to the next generation in the most tax-efficient way that exists in the American financial system today. So here is what I want you to do. Not next month, not after you finish reading some book about retirement planning. Today, if you do not have a Roth IRA, open one this week. It takes 15 minutes at Fidelity, Vanguard, or Schwab. There are no account minimums, no complicated applications, no appointments to make. Set up an automatic monthly contribution so the decision is made before lifestyle creep has a chance to spend that money. If your income is above the direct contribution limit, look into the backdoor Roth IRA. It is simpler than it sounds, and a fee-only financial advisor can walk you through it in a single conversation. If you already have money sitting in a traditional IRA, consider whether a Roth conversion makes sense, particularly in lower income years, because those are your windows to move money at the lowest possible tax cost. And once your Roth IRA is open and funded, put it in a simple low-cost index fund and leave it alone. The wealthy did not build generational wealth by finding complicated secret strategies. They built it by understanding simple tools deeply, using them consistently, and starting earlier than everyone else. The Roth IRA has been sitting inside the American tax code since 1997. It is not going anywhere. And the best time to start using it was the day it was created. The second best time is right now.